Thank you so much. It was a great intro, and thank you all so much for being here. It's 1990, and I'm 10 years old. I've just moved to Brookline from Moscow. In English, I can count to 10. I can say yes and no and dog and cat and house. And then some words that sound similar in many languages. Alkohol is alcohol. Class is class. And poodle is poodle. It's not exactly the toolkit you need to make friends in 4th grade. I also have a standing problem. So, the teacher writes a simple math question up on the board and looks at me. And I shoot up out of my chair like a soldier, hands by my sides, back straight, eyes forward. The whole class loses it. They're laughing, and they're slapping their desks, and the teacher's trying to get them to calm down, but I can tell he's trying really hard not to laugh too. And I am mortified because I can't do anything about this muscle memory. In Moscow, that was just what you did. You sat there in your itchy wool brown uniform, and when the teacher called on you, you stood. That was respect. No one told me that the rules had changed. Life in Soviet Russia hadn't exactly been a picnic, but I'd understood the rules, and I ruled the playground. I was always getting into fights, beating up boys to defend my meek best friend, winning sword battles with sticks. At home, I didn't have a lot of control over my parents' very tumultuous marriage or their divorce. But at the school playground, I took back control. My teachers called me a hurricane. I had a brand. And then the universe sent a wonderful Brookline man to Moscow. He and my mom met and fell in love and got married, and we came here. But unfortunately here, I become a bumbling idiot. I mix up everything, all the words. Pen and pencil, ma'am and mom, pot and pan. I do not understand what baseball is all about. No. And show and tell is a completely foreign concept for a Soviet person. So I become the laughingstock of my fellow 10-year-olds, and I know I need a different brand. But before that, I need to learn to defend myself from all these taunts and all the mockery that comes flying from every single direction, except one. It never, ever comes from a boy I'll call Mike. Mike is gentle and kind, and he's very studious. And every day after school, I see Mike walking his family's large white poodle through our neighborhood. I've never really encountered a boy like Mike. Boys in Moscow were kind of like me, getting into fights and shooting spitballs and swearing. But Mike never has an unkind word for anyone. And I really have no idea what to do with that until I discover a playground game called Foursquare. You might know it, you probably do. It's the one where you hit your ball into your opponent's squares to try to get them out. So Foursquare turns out to be my game. And it's Mike's game too. And whenever Mike and I are both in, I get really, really mean. I spike that ball at him with a viciousness that honestly surprises even me. And when I do, I yell something that rolls off my tongue so naturally, you would never know I only just arrived in America. I yell, "You like poodles? That's for liking poodles." And like magic, the kids are not laughing at me anymore, but they're laughing with me, at Mike, and he just steps out of his square and adjusts his glasses and gets back in line. I do this day after day, and I think I see my new brand emerging. I might no longer be a Russian hurricane, but I could be an American playground comedian. So I try to improve my script. I learned the word nerd when someone calls me one. And this is right around the time, maybe some of you remember, that the Nordic track was very popular. So the next day at school at the playground, when I get Mike out, I yell, "Hey, Mike, why don't you go work out on your Nordic track?" Yeah. And the worst part is that because this isn't my native language and I'm just learning it, I don't feel the full force of my insults. Because it's one thing to be able to say the word nerd and even wordplay with it a little bit, but it's something completely different to understand what someone feels when you call them one. But despite my horrible behavior, Mike just continues to be Mike, walking that big white poodle around our neighborhood. Eventually, I begin to adapt to life here, and I make some friends, and I stop being such a bully. And some of that newcomer angst fades, but I can't say the same of my guilt about being so horrible to Mike. About 10 years ago, I walk out of the Eastern European food store down the street, and I see this tall guy striding toward me with long, confident steps. And he's wearing an athletic tank, and he looks amazing. I think the word is ripped. And as he approaches, I see that it is Mike. I've sort of been hoping that he's forgotten about me, because I feel like that would somehow blur the past. But he hasn't, and we stand there chatting, and I learn that his new physique is not an accident. He's gone into the fitness or health field. And then I have this weird, really disconcerting thought. Did my horrible behavior as a kid have something to do with Mike becoming this super impressive version of himself that could now easily take anyone down at the playground? A few years ago, I come to the Coolidge, might actually have been this exact room, because there was a book launch event happening. And as we're shuffling out afterwards, I, of course, spot Mike in the crowd. We stand there catching up, and we ask about each other's families. And then I feel my face flush, because I know what I'm about to say is so incredibly absurd. I say, "Hey, Mike, you know, my family's considering getting a poodle. I've always really wanted a dog, and it seems to be the right choice given that we have a lot of allergies. You could tell me a little bit about where you got yours?" This is the part where Mike has every right to say, "Seriously, Asya, what is wrong with you? You gave me all that crap for liking poodles back when we were kids, and now you're saying you want one? You're a piece of work, woman." But he doesn't say that. A few days later, I get an email in my inbox with the contact information for his family's poodle breeder up in New Hampshire. A month goes by, and my husband, my kids, and I drive home from New Hampshire with a little black poodle puppy. He's wonderful. We name him Otto. It all feels very much meant to be. I'm sleeping on the floor next to his crate, trying to make him really comfortable. And for the first week, it's perfect. And then Otto starts to get really, really angry. He is growling at my daughter and at my husband, and he's aggressive with my mother-in-law, who's flown in from Europe and really takes care of him like a newborn grandchild. The guy seems to hate us. And then I try to gently coax him from beneath my kid's trampoline, and he snarls and almost bites me. We call the breeder, and she says, "Oh, I think there's been a mismatch. But there's a lovely elderly woman who lives alone and loves poodles and is on the wait list." So, about 3 weeks into this dog adventure, we drive Otto back up to New Hampshire. And I'll tell you, you have never seen a dog care less about his owners. We open the door, my daughter and I are wiping away tears, and he books it the hell away from us as fast as his little paws will carry him, right? It seems maybe it was not meant to be. On the way back home, I admit to my family that I might have rushed us into this whole dog thing because I was so desperate to replace a childhood poodle fail with a poodle win. But the bully does not get the redemption puppy. Instead, I just hope that if I bump into Mike one more time, I'll have the courage to say to him, Mike, I am so sorry for how I treated you when we were kids and for making fun of you for liking poodles. It seems that poodles don't much like me either, which feels about right. Thank you.